welcome to the new video. Inside this video we'll take a look at how you can install Microsoft SQL Server on your Linux machine, and to be more specific, on a CentOS 7 server. I'm on Hetzner Online. I have created a new server called MS SQL Server with this IP. So it's a blank server with 2 cores, 4 gigs of RAM, which is proper minimum for a SQL Server database, 40 gigs of disk, and well, it's currently valued at €6 per month. Okay, and as I said, I've set up the server. I am here in the console, as you can see, as root. There we go. Now, first step to install a SQL Server would be to install the repo for yum, which contains the MS SQL Server information, and this is about it. Now we just have to remake our cache. On the CentOS server, the command for that is yum makecache. And now we just have to wait a bit for him to create the cache. Now that we've done this, we can actually install the server. And to install it, you just have to run yum install. -y is to force, yes, but you can even do it without that if you want to press one extra letter. It's about 200 megabytes. 211 megabytes is the whole installation. It's, well, the Hetzner has pretty good speed, so it's downloading quite fast. Okay, the server is installed. Now we have to make some preparations. And the first thing we do is we run the MS SQL Server setup. Now it's going to ask for some settings regarding the installation, and well, for this instance I'll use version 2, which is for developers, free, with no production use rights. We accept this. Okay, now we type in the password. I'm just going to type in password 01. Password 01. Alright, and there we go. The SQL Server is now installed and set up. Next thing we need to do is to install the utilities for the MS SQL Server, which is contained in Microsoft SQL -tools. Alright, after we install these 2 packages, we will be able to use the command sql-cmd, which will enable us to basically do the same thing as the MySQL command. Next thing we can do is we can configure the SQL Server to run as a service and not just an application that we'll have to force manually, and we can do this by typing systemctl start Microsoft SQL Server and by replacing the word start with enable, which will allow this to run as the system boots up. One more thing we can do is we can export path variable to the Microsoft SQL bin folder, so we can have a variable for the server. Now we just also have to source the file. And with that, we are done with the installation of the SQL Server. Now to run this, usually you'd also have to open the port in the firewall, but this server is currently not using any firewalls. It's just a blank server, so I'm going to skip that step. And here we have the SQL Server Management Studio. Let's use the IP. The login is SA and the password is what we set up before, password 01. There are the databases. We can create a new one. I'm just going to create a test database with all the options and everything else, mostly as in the normal Windows version of SQL Server. And here is a minor drawback. If I were to press new table, I would be presented with this. This backend version is not supported to design database diagrams or tables, but we can just go around it by typing a new query to create a database ourselves. We'll just create a simple one. Let's go with create table, users. We're gonna have user ID, type of int, identity 11, primary. Let's go username, Let's go password. We can leave this to null for whatever reason. Doesn't really matter. Okay, let's execute this, and I'm missing something. Of course. And there we go. If we refresh this, we can see the DBO users table. We can select it, of course, and edit crashes this version of SQL Server Management Studio for some reason. This happens. We'll just connect back. We don't need two versions. Again, not really a problem. We can just avoid this step by creating a row. We can execute this. Let's go in with another user, user 2, password 02. Execute, one row affected, and if we were to inspect this database, we can see that we have two users with separate user IDs, of course. Actually, let's leave this as is. As you can see, this is the most simple way to create the SQL Server database on a Linux machine. Most of the features work in Server Management Studio. You can also create stored procedures, create a database manually, and then select things around, but any action over it will have to go manually as well, unfortunately, at this moment, at least with this version of SQL Server Management Studio. And everything else seems to be working fine. Of course, you can create a new user. In the next video, well, I'll show you how you can set up this database to work on a Node.js application for your websites. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you soon. Goodbye.